Welcome in. Today I got Hamilton Tiger Cats head coach Orlondo Steinauer with me. Orlondo, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Now, Orlondo, you're a former collegiate football player at Western Washington, and you moved your way up to the CFL as a player and now a coach. And as a rookie coach, you've turned the Tiger Cats into a Grey Cup contender. But let's start this off for the first part of the interview with the tough struggles of what's going on. So, although the NFL and XFL have been shining as the league has fallen due to the COVID-19 issue, what has happened recently with the CFL and their aspect?
Yeah, so with us, our season really, our draft is coming up here at the end of April, and then our season really starts the middle of May is where training camp starts. So we were just getting ready to ramp up, when that comes up, but obviously there's a delay. They've already made an announcement that there is a delay to the start of training camp. So we're likely to not get a full season in if we're fortunate to get a season. It's been different, like it has for everybody, whether it's NFL. I've got coaches, good friends in the NFL. I've got great friends in the XFL that were coaching. I know players, and it's just uncertain times for everybody. But I think it just puts a lot of emphasis on what's important in life, and that's health and happiness. So we're maintaining.
Now, being the head coach, how has this affected you and your staff?
Well, obviously for us, we would be, bringing people, quote unquote, on campus or in before the draft to interview them. They would be doing a combine in front of the coaches where everybody would come in. And obviously that's all void now. So we're going to end up doing a draft based on just what we see on film. And, that's why we pay our personnel the big bucks, right? They gotta earn their keep. But, the coaches have been doing a really great job of doing their part and giving their evals and doing their final grades on some of these athletes. So I would say that it's affected us tremendously. But with that being said, everybody's affected equally. So there's no advantage or disadvantage. It's just the way it is.
Now, besides evals, how have you and your staff handled the season being pushed back indefinitely?
Yeah, that's tough because they haven't given us an exact date. So we don't know if we're going to have to hit the ground running. Are there going to be preseason games? How long is training camp going to be? Is there going to be able to be a rookie camp? There's just a lot of unknowns. So fortunately, when you talk about building a staff, our number one emphasis is finding not good but great people. And you find people that really support each other. They love each other. They care about each other. And you go from there. That way, when adversity hits, you're able to respond to that. So what we tell our players and what I tell the staff is, one thing that we're guaranteed in life is adversity. So we're always training our mindsets on adversity responses. So we'll be ready to go whether there's any preseason games or not, and I'll be excited about it.
Now, being new to the head coach scene in the CFL, what pressure have you dealt with because of everything going on?
Pressure really comes from being unprepared. And I feel like that while there's no way that I knew everything, I felt as prepared as I was going to be. I think you never are. I remember making the jump from a defensive coordinator to being from being a position coach to a defensive coordinator. You kind of weren't sure in, how that was going to be and the stresses. And then you kind of get to a point where you feel like you're prepared and you just give it your best. And then the same thing happened after being a defensive coordinator for 5 years, taking the leap to be a head coach. It's one of those things that you're never sure. You do the best you can. You ask a lot of people who have been in your shoes before you, and you just kind of do what got you there and trust your process, trust the vision. I could go on and on, but it's really about setting the expectations and then letting the players set the standard. So I think the one thing that I will say in closing is that you're privy to so much more information that there is added pressure in that way, where the responsibility is on you. If there's things happening off the field, for example, or there's, office conflict or those things, that ultimately falls under the category of being a head coach.
How have you been able to stay in contact with your players and keep them posted during everything that's going on?
Hey, just how we're doing it right here, or through text messages. That's the beautiful thing about social media nowadays. One of the very positive aspects is that you're just a phone call, a text, a video, a Zoom call, a Skype, whatever you want to call it. That's all it is your way. So you just have to make time. And I think a lot of us have a lot of that right now. And I think it wears thin on people. So I think just it's most important, obviously as a head coach, I'll reach out, but it's most important that the position coaches and the coordinators are keeping that dialogue open. I'll meet with our coaches at least once a week, at least once every week and a half. We'll be on an hour-long Zoom call or those type of things just to keep our bond and unity and maintenance tight.
Coming off the Grey Cup loss last season, do you believe it'll be tougher to bounce back now compared to usual since you have to turn around and maybe play, with a shorter season?
That's a good question. All I know is that we're going to prepare to be 1-0 in week 1. And every time we take the field, we expect to win. Now, that doesn't mean that's how it always happens, but that's our mindset. And we go out there as prepared as we can be as a staff, try to get our players as prepared as possible. Those are kind of what I would refer to as uncontrollable factors. Each year, your team's never the same. While the media and everybody else likes to say, hey, you did this and you've got this many returning players, this is where you should go. Boy, each year is different. And, free agency's already happened. Everybody's getting better on paper. Doesn't matter what league you play in. Everybody feels like they've got better on paper. But ultimately, that's why you play the game. So I'm excited to see what type of football team we have in 2020. I know what we had in 19. We were extremely resilient. We were fast. We were smart. We were physical. We just fell short in that one game, but there's no way that game will ever define me or us.
Now, outside of all the bad things going on during this crisis, what are some benefits that you've seen or experienced this last month or so?
Boy, just the things that matter, right? You're getting to spend more time. People are, having to, you're having to be home. You're having to find different ways to quote unquote have fun, and those type of things. I think that from a humanity standpoint, we're all after one thing. It doesn't matter what political party, what race, religion, what color of skin, where you came from, what language you speak. Everybody's after a cure. And I think that that's what's unique about this whole thing is no matter where you're from globally, we're all after one thing, and that's rare. It has zero to do with what your stance is or what your party is. And so from that standpoint, I've seen that. And then just the creativity aspect, right? We've got our kids doing presentations. We had to draw family sunsets. Taya, our youngest daughter, was leading that. Those are things that we wouldn't normally do because we'd say we don't have time. And right now there's time for a lot of things if you so choose. So I've seen a positivity and just bonding. I've reached out to some people I haven't been in touch with in a long time just to see how they're doing. And those are feel-good moments in life. So I could go on and on, but those are some tangible things and some other things that really are out of sight, out of mind, but that make you feel good as a person.
Getting off this issue and more into you, you used to play at Western Washington and up in the CFL. What did you enjoy the most about being as a player?
Well, I was a late developer. So, Western Washington University, home of the Vikings, baby, right? I know nobody knows about it, but here's the thing. When I went to Western, it was an NAI Division II school. So for most people, that's one step above high school, right? Currently, it's an NCAA Division II school. And, I just remember that college is about the experience. And, I was fortunate, to end up having I redshirted. And I was fortunate to, I think I was an honorable mention All-American as a sophomore. Things were going great and those type of things. And people were asking me, are you going to transfer to D1? And I just really looked at it as the big time was where I was at. Like I was going through battles and wars and spring balls and mat drills and those back then. And when you go through those things with friends and teammates, it's fun. And that's the experience that I remember. It was that. And, there were some other great times where, I was the defensive player of the year as a senior. I led the nation in interceptions. We were ranked number 1 in the nation for 5 weeks. These are all with people that we grew up together for 5 years. Most of us, 98% of the people redshirted. And we used to make a commitment. I mean, we worked TCI cable. We worked for Pepsi. We dug ditches. Some people worked on the raspberry farm. But that was the way of life. You know, we rode bikes. We jogged miles on pavement. And then to become CFA champions and be ranked number one in the country. I mean, how many people can say that? I mean, I have so many fond memories of Western Washington. I'm just grateful for the opportunity Rob Smith gave me.
Now, back then, did you ever expect to be coaching in the CFL and let alone being like inches away from winning a Grey Cup?
You know, I didn't know what it held. You know, I think as a kid, you always dream of playing in the NFL. You know, somehow from an NAI Division II school, I ended up in the Detroit Lions training camp. And, you know, I was all of a sudden, you know, I'm playing for my level of ball, and all of a sudden I'm in the locker room with Barry Sanders and Herman Moore and Glenn Milburn and Benny Blades. And I know you guys will have to Google those names, like who's that? But these are big time names that Michael Brooks, man, just studs. And that was just an amazing experience. And so when I got released from Detroit, you know, I actually enrolled in teachers college, and I did that. Then all of a sudden the Ottawa, at that time, Rough Riders called and asked me if I'd come on their practice roster for a few weeks and see if I liked it. And I was like, nah, where is that? So I got the map out, and I was like, man, that's all the way on the East Coast. I mean, I've been born and raised on the West Coast, you know? So I was like, I'm going to go for it. So I dropped out of teachers college and pursued the CFL career. So your question was, did I ever envision winning a Grey Cup? I would be lying if I said I did, but I always dream big, you know, and then I got another opportunity, in 1999, we won a Grey Cup. So sometimes that's where the journey life takes you.
Now, after your rookie coaching season, what did you enjoy the most, and what are you looking to improve on this next season?
Oh, man. I said this when I received the Coach of the Year award, and I stand by it. And coaching this year was more joy and more work than I could have ever imagined. There's just so many unknowns and so many things that I was like, oh, I was prepared for that. And you just want it so bad. And you realize that you really have to delegate responsibility and trust your coaches to do their job. So what I'd like to do a better job of is creating better headspace, just taking some of the worry out and just trusting the process and those type of things, and knowing that your staff, there's trust and loyalty and integrity there, and there's accountability and excellence and those type of things, and great communication that's been established. So I'm looking forward to being me, being positive, being an example, and being better in all aspects, not being complacent, like just being a little bit better communicator, being a little bit better at preparation, just things that you just gain from experience, and then creating other leaders. That's my passion is people. I love ball. I love X's and O's. I love the competitive nature. As you get to know me better, you'll know that my passion is people. So I want to continue that, and I think the wins will be a byproduct of it.
Now, you had a short stint at Fresno State as the defensive coordinator. Did you ever think about working up your ranks in college football and possibly the NFL instead?
Interesting. You know, I don't know how much you looked into it, but Fresno State had a rough go. I had a real interesting story there I'll share with you. Jeff Tedford, who was actually a lifelong NCAA coach at Cal, and I think a year and a little bit later, he went and got the BC Lions in Vancouver, head coaching job in the CFL. Well, I was the defensive coordinator at Hamilton. So we played him twice during the year, and little did I know that was really my interview. And so Jeff went back to his alma mater at Fresno State and basically said that he wanted that coordinator from Hamilton. And so he liked the product, and he did his due diligence. And I guess I checked a couple of boxes, went down and interviewed, He offered me the job. They had won one game the year before. What a blessing to learn from Jeff. And, our defense ended up number 10 in the country. And, yeah, we played Alabama and Washington. We didn't do real well there, but we turned it around. We turned that program around. We won 10 games, the biggest college turnaround in NCAA history, to double-digit wins. We won the Hawaii Bowl against Houston. Just so many positive, met great people. So the phone was ringing. There was opportunity. And then this opportunity came to come back to Canada. And I didn't envision that. We bought a house in California. I was going to go through the ranks and see where it took me. I'm just always faithful with the job that I have and not so far, looking into the future. So all those things still could happen, right? But I didn't really think I was leaving Fresno State when this job came for me. To work for June Jones, who's a lifetime coach in the NFL and NCAA, Jerry Glanville. So I was the assistant head coach when I left Fresno to come up to Hamilton. And I really came up here, A, because of our owner and president, and B, because I got a chance to work with those lifelong coaches. And you just can't get that experience every day. So this was the best move for my family and I. Plus, you're afforded a little bit more work-life balance up here in Canada.
Being the head coach with the Tiger Cats now, what do you enjoy the most about this organization?
I love the city. The city is a blue-collar, hard-nosed, passionate city. Our owner is unbelievable, gives us a great facility to work out of. We have a president who I've been able to bond with since 2013. And it's who you work with. And I know that there's a hierarchy and a chain of command. And so I do work for those people. But they really have a great commitment to the organization and a passion to be great. And they're going to give us what we need. So I enjoy the city. I enjoy the people that I work for/with. And from there, everything else is just kind of icing on the cake. The foundation is solid. When you're around great people and it's a passion of yours, can you call it work? I don't know. I guess so. You got to hit the alarm clock and you got to be somewhere. But that's what I really appreciated. And then they've really let me be me, right? I was able to grow in this organization. I won a Grey Cup as a player in this organization, so there's a familiarity there. I appreciate where it came from and where we're at and where we're going. I appreciate that they let me be me and they give me trust, and I trust them in return. And it's a great working relationship, and not just working relationship. Built some quality lifelong friendships.
Nice. Now, final question: what do you enjoy about coaching, and how has it shaped you into who you are today?
Coaching is what I do. Coaching isn't who I am. So if you told me I was never going to coach again, I'd be okay. Now, for some people, they'd say whatever. But I truly mean that my passion is people, right? Doing this interview with you, it makes me smile because this is a passion of yours. And if it's not, you're going to say maybe in 2 years you say, you know what, I gave it my all, and this isn't where I'm going. But I'm getting a chance to help you grow right now. And we hardly know each other. And that's a passion of mine. I could easily brush this off and big time I don't have time, interview, Joe and Fred. But that's not how I'm built. And that doesn't make me any better or any worse than anybody. But my passion is people. And that I want to see our defensive court or our DB coaches grow and the light bulb go on for them. And, I kind of live by this saying. I want to train people well enough so that they can always leave, but I'm going to treat them well enough so they don't want to. And that's what motivates me. That's what now, when I get the players in the building and we get to practice and I whistle in my mouth and those type of, listen, I love me some football now. I'm passionate about it, but I'm passionate about the players. I'm passionate about the laughs and the memories we're creating. So how has it shaped me? It's allowed me to, this platform that I use, it's a vehicle. And it's a vehicle to touch lives in a positive way. And along the way, we're going to win a heck of a lot of football games. We're going to win championships. But that's not what I'll take with me. After you win a championship, the day after, you're a former champion. So that doesn't stay forever. But the memories, the laughs, this interview, those type of things can last forever. So that's what I'm taking with me. That's what I enjoy. I'd be that way with any profession. The fact that I get to work out all the little perks, I get to travel around the country, different places. It's allowed me to recruit in the NCAA. I got to go to open tryout camps throughout the United States in the off season, as a coach up here in the CFL. I'm just blessed. It's afforded me a lot, and I don't take it for granted. And I just look forward to putting a smile on other people's faces. So hopefully I gave you something there. Anything else, brother?
No. Well, I just want to thank you, Orlondo, for coming in, and good luck to your Tiger Cats.
Hey, I appreciate it. Let's stay in touch, brother.